The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
And a glorious Monday morning to one and all out there. This is Mick Shots inside the brand spanking new SWBC podcast studio here at the beautiful Star in Frisco. And Bill Jones, Everson Walls, turn and wave at the camera Everson. And the star of our show, Mickey Spagnola. We are all back here in Frisco.
This is nice.
Finally.
It is.
This is nice.
It's really nice. I had no idea. They kept telling me people were sending me pictures, but this is pretty cool.
Do we deserve this?
Studio.
Do we deserve this?
Of course we deserve
We
it.
do. I don't know about the rest of them.
Everson's just complaining we're seeing the back of his head.
I know, man.
It's a good thing.
look,
It's
yeah.
he's
I
there,
got
not
good.
me.
I have good
right?
hair. I got good hair.
I'd be blinding everybody with my bald spot.
Now, Everson doesn't have a bald spot.
Yeah.
I do. I've discovered that I do have one back there. And so we got here first, Everson, so we sat in the good seats.
That's what
there
it
we go.
is.
All right.
Dibs.
You know what? I'm thinking that the Cowboys got out of California just in time.
Yes,
It's
absolutely.
like the good
yes.
Lord was looking over this team and said, okay, you schedule training camp until what would have been August 18th. I'm sending you to Seattle at that point, and then here comes a tropical storm and an earthquake. Yeah.
Which, by the way,
end of times.
By the way, it struck the earthquake in Ojai, which is right next to Oxnard and Ventura. And I checked on my friends that live in Oxnard, and I said, well, what did it feel like? And they said it felt like I was on a big wave. That they felt the
Because
earthquake.
was it because it was
something.
raining and it happened while they were
Yeah, right. They were getting wet, and there was an earthquake.
And in fact, think about it. If this would have happened a week ago, the Cowboys wouldn't have had any practice at all out there this week.
Well,
it
as much
sounds like
rain
with the
as they got.
flooding that's going on there.
Yeah.
Not many hurricanes come through Southern California.
Yeah, I mean it's rare.
Now, the good thing with the earthquake, they didn't have a tsunami either.
Yeah, right.
Because, we're only like 5 miles from the ocean where the practice fields are.
Yep.
So you guys left straight from Seattle home.
Yep. The Cowboys broke camp on Friday and flew to Seattle, and then came from Seattle on the charter home.
6 a.m.
7 a.m. here. I wasn't on the charter. I was on a red eye though.
No, it was 6 a.m. when we got in.
Yeah, 7 a.m. for me, and then an hour and a half before I found out my bag wasn't didn't make the plane.
Well, I'm going to find out today if my bags made the truck here.
So here we are starting a new week, and training camp continues here at the Star in Frisco on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday afternoon. Free and open to the public. You can watch this team, and it's great to see, and also you'll be able to watch them as well in the Tuesday night practice, which will be Cowboys night right here and on TXA 21 locally in Dallas-Fort Worth. And so we'll get to see first teamers on the field, or as fans, you can see first teamers on the field.
What you didn't see in preseason.
Yeah, exactly, right. You want to start? Where would you like to start? With the bad news?
Yeah, might as well.
That's what I was thinking.
And, of course, there were 2 major injuries, and I get an injury update from Mickey otherwise as well. But the 2 major ones, DeMarvion Overshone, the linebacker, as well as John Stevens Jr., the tight end, both with ACLs suffered on Saturday night, and so they're both lost for the season.
With both, you couldn't tell.
No,
based on the play, what exactly happened.
And DeMarvion, I mean, he started to get up, and then he reached for his knee. He didn't feel it until he started to get up.
But then he walked off
Under his own power. That's right.
Own power, and then they went into the tent. And next thing we know, they were carting him into the locker room, and then with John Stevens. I didn't even see when he got hurt, but I saw him walk into the locker room with Dr. Muller, and it was like, well, that doesn't look too bad. But then,
well, it was right off the line of scrimmage. We had a replay of it.
Did you?
And then he was basically hopped off the field.
I was thinking maybe he ran up on the back of the guy in front of him that was trying to block or who was trying to pursue the play.
Right.
And maybe he got kicked in the shin and then a bad step. I don't
well,
know how it could.
the sad part of it is Overshawn was playing awfully well. Obviously, third-round draft choice. He's going to make the team, right? But he was going to get playing time. He was going to be on every special teams unit. They were going to work him in on the nickel defense at the other linebacker position. I mean, he was gonna have a role on this team, and he was playing awfully well. Now, as for John Stevens, he was going to make it a difficult decision if they think that they could get him onto the practice squad, but he was showing so much. I don't know. Awfully talented, but how many tight ends can you keep on a team?
And truthfully, from an experience standpoint,
Right.
at the tight end position, I mean, you went into camp thinking he's fifth on the depth chart,
Right.
And even though he had shown things early, from an experience standpoint, depending on how many you're going to keep, and if you look at McEwen as can he be more? Can you keep him more as like the H back, fullback type,
Right.
And which would allow you to keep numbers wise, keep more. But he was likely going to, if everyone stayed healthy, the four guys in front of him being Ferguson, Schoonmaker, as well as Hendershot and McEwen. There's your four more experienced ones in front of him, and so it was going to be tough for him to make that 53.
Right, and then it might have been tough to get him onto the practice squad if somebody needed a tight end.
The only saving grace on that would be with the new rules this year. There are no mandatory cuts prior to after the last preseason game, and so everybody's cutting from 90
Right.
down to 53, and so think about it, there's 37 players from every team in the league that's out there, and this year you might be more likely to slide a guy to the practice squad, but keeping him there and not having someone pick him off at some point during the
Right.
season might be troublesome.
And then the good thing is he's never played tight end before. That first preseason game was the first time he'd ever played tight end.
What did he play?
And he was a wide receiver.
Whoa.
Yeah, and see, from that standpoint, other teams, I mean, they're in the same boat the Cowboys are. They understand. They scout. They know John Stevens was a wide receiver in college. They look at him probably even more so of a developmental player than we do here, because we've seen him in practice every day and so forth, and seeing how he's making the progress.
And the tough thing making the transition is not the receiver part of it, is blocking, right? If you're going to put him out there, every time he goes out, does that mean he's a receiver?
Well, every
'Cause
time
he's
he
never
goes
been
out,
asked to
is
block.
he going to get injured?
Well,
considering he was a wide receiver, now you got him in the mix.
Well,
You know?
6'6", 245.
Yeah, he's got the build. He's got
man.
Right?
And here's what I think is going to happen with him. Now he's going to be he's going to rehab, and hopefully it's the simple ACL where he'll be able to take part in a full off season. I mean, anymore the ACLs are considered basically 6-month injuries, and he'll be able to, and he'll be in that weight room, and he's listed at 6'6", 245 now, and I don't think he'll lose any athleticism being 6'6", 250, I think he was not going, unless there were massive injuries at that position, he was not going to get much playing time, even if he made the 53 this season.
To me, just like there are a lot of tight ends on the Cowboys, we've talked in the last couple of years about all of the talented tight ends that have come out of the NCAA in the last couple of years. I think they've got enough tight ends.
No, they do
on their own squad.
But it was just a guy that had a dimension to him, right? When he was running down the hash near the goal line, linebacker can't stay with him, and the safeties are probably too small, and he could body up on them.
Oh, no doubt.
So I was going to ask you if you recall, his father, John Stevens Sr., was a first-round draft choice of the New England Patriots in 1988 as a running back. First round, 17th pick. He gained 1,000 yards his first year. You don't recall?
I don't. You know, we were having our own problems in the '89. If I recall, we were trying to win a game.
Right.
That's what I recall. No, I don't recall him at all.
So he's got good genes.
Yes, he does.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
And
he
did you
does.
say that he made the Pro Bowl in '88?
Yeah. As a rookie.
Yeah, as a rookie with the Patriots. Passed away several years ago. John Stevens' half-sister is Sloane Stevens, the tennis
Now
player.
that person I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I know her.
So
that's
there's some good
family.
genes
That's
in
good
the family.
Wow.
Mom was a track star in
Yes.
college, and Dad obviously an
That I
NFL
got
running
from-
back.
from
But
Wimbledon.
his birth mother was a star athlete in high school in Louisiana.
Where are they from? Louisiana, you said.
His birth mother is from Louisiana.
And Sloane, when she was growing up, being such a tennis player, they moved to Florida, where she trained for tennis as a teenager. And so she would be, like 7 or 8 years older than John. So they didn't grow up together.
Right.
But I talked to John Stevens after the first preseason game, and he says, yeah, they text a lot and stuff. So, but anyway, I mean, he's a guy that now red shirts, and there's real good hope for the future that he has a good future in the NFL. And the same goes for Overshown. Now
Yes.
he's a red shirt player, and hopefully his ACL is like others. I mean, I would love for Michael Irvin to talk with DeMarvion Overshown and tell him this is what happened early in my career. I suffered an ACL injury, and then I came back. And yes, you can have a Hall of Fame career.
That was a tough road. That was a tough road.
Hall of Fame career, even when you suffer an injury like that.
I happened to be there for obviously for some of that with Michael Irvin, and man, I just remember coming in the off season, and he would just be sitting in the whirlpool, just looking sad. And I remember we talked one time, because I thought he was, you know how Mike is, he's so emotional, and so when you talk at that time, he was really down. God, that hurt him so much. And I remember in the offseason, one time we just sat down and talked. He wasn't in the whirlpool, but he was in the sauna. We talked for a little while, and I don't know, I just, told him to hang in there. No big deal. But, I just remember that moment. But soon after that, he was on his way.
That's right.
I've never
with
seen
that
anybody work.
ethic.
Oh, my God.
You know what I remember?
Work harder.
I have this vision of him. So I was living in Carrollton at that time. He was too. And I'm coming down Trinity Mills one morning, heading here, and all of a sudden, in the median of the road, there's this big black man on a big, tall bicycle. And it's Michael Irvin. He's biking to the ranch, right? And I'm going, look at this sight. And he's,
Mickey, you need to talk to DeMarvion
yes,
too.
right.
And say,
That's right.
And get him a bike, okay? He can ride the bike to and rehab his injury.
So the other injury they suffered in the game, Waletzko,
Matt
Waletzko, the offensive tackle, suffered a shoulder subluxation. That's what he had on the left side last year that eventually needed surgery. Since this is a subluxation, meaning it goes back in after it dislocates, we'll see the severity of it. But yeah, they lost him, and then Redwine. He's a veteran guy, right? I think this was
Sheldrick Redwine,
his fourth year?
Fourth year out of Miami.
had a hamstring, and he had to leave the game. So I knew when I did it. In my column on Friday, I wrote that this was a near perfect training camp.
Well, why did you do it then?
I know, but I put a disclaimer in there and said, I had said, they didn't suffer any injury that's, season ending, or the guy has to start off.
You said that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bill.
Next,
we can blame Mickey.
next day.
Blame Mick Shots.
But I put a disclaimer, the paragraph after, and said, now this doesn't mean, knock on wood, I'm not trying to jinx anything, and I'll be darned. It was the first quarter when he got hurt.
Yeah, well, for Overshown, it was the seventh defensive play. He made three tackles the first 7 snaps of the game, and he was done.
Yeah. So that was the injury update that we know of in that game. So
Please tell me. My concerns they're very heavy on me. I'm worried about the kicking game.
Okay, you know what we're going to do?
Please do.
We'll
We're
talk
gonna, we're
about
going to take
that
a
next.
break. We'll talk about the kicking game, and there's much more to get to as far as the second preseason game in Seattle and looking ahead to preseason game number 3. But more importantly, looking ahead to the regular season opener, which is now less than 3 weeks away. Mick Shots continues in a wonderful new SWBC podcast studio in just a moment.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com is one of the most trusted ways to buy, sell, and trade crypto. Whether you're always on the go or stay closer to home, Blockchain.com is just a few taps away. Put the power of crypto in your pocket, so no matter where you are, you can trade on your terms and build a crypto portfolio to fit your life. For crypto pros, rookies, and anyone in between, Blockchain.com makes it easy to own a piece of the future. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
We know that juicy, cheesy, grilled to perfection burger sounds amazing, but it does sound like something is missing. Pepsi, baby! The yin to this burger's yang. Burgers and Pepsi go together like burgers and Pepsi. This perfect blending of flavors makes every bite of lettuce, every sesame seed on the bun, and every sip of that crisp, refreshing, ice-cold cola a journey to Foodtopia. Burgers, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
I'm Dak
To Mick Shots.
K-Post Roofing and Waterproofing, the official roofing company of the Dallas Cowboys.
That's it?
He said that so professionally,
That's it?
and he looked down as if he was reading copy of
Is
it.
that it?
That was right off the top of his head. Hey, that was great, and a great way to kick off a new season in a new SWBC podcast studio as the team is back here at the Star in Frisco. Again, practices on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and Thursday afternoon, free and open to the public. And then preseason game number 3 against the Las Vegas Raiders is Saturday night at AT&T Stadium. The playmaker, Michael Irvin, scheduled to join Isaiah Stanback and me in the booth this week.
Isaiah Stanback.
And but it's the traditional final preseason game. That's where Michael loves to join us in the booth and talk all things Cowboys. We don't talk so much about who's playing in that game. We're talking about the guys that are on the sideline and the rest of the league.
And there were 26 guys who did not play in that game on Saturday night in Seattle, sort of the same number they had the previous week. And so what you saw in that game was a bunch of second-team, third-team guys, second-team guys on that offensive line that are trying to make this team because they need some backup offensive linemen.
And a lot of first-teamers on that other side in
Right.
the first half of that game against Seattle.
And they played pretty well against the
They had an
Seahawks
offense.
first team.
The most impressive thing, I think, about the offense was the 80-yard, 17-play
nice.
drive
Right.
against what was it was probably 2/3 of the defense were first-teamers out there for Seattle at that point in the game. And so
They were able to work on strategy, the third down situation.
And they were
did
pretty
very
good on
well
the
with
third
that.
down.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe they made like 3 or 4
Yeah.
during that drive.
I think I had a fourth down conversion and maybe 3 third down conversions, and the pass out to Rico Dowdle. You take what the defense gives you, and as we said on the telecast, there's your Texas Coast offense.
That's
right
it
there,
right
you
there.
know?
That's right.
And that's one of the things I think you're going to see more of, the little swing passes to the running backs. And just use the talent you have. If you don't have somebody that's going to bang in the middle all the time, well, don't hit your head against the wall. Try and just figure out what your talent is and use it. And as Cooper Rush said after the game, he goes, when I was asking him about the drive, and he goes, well, the good thing is we were third and manageable most of
that's
most
exactly
of the time,
what it was.
right?
Yes,
and it wasn't like we were 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, because at that point, there might be some guys on that second offensive line that are capable of getting on the 53 as a backup. But when they play, they're not playing with 4 other backups, right? And so their pass protection wasn't all that great, but they figured out how to kind of play call around their limitations. Yeah, that was an impressive drive, especially for Cooper Rush to have that opportunity to show, hey, I'm still the second guy.
How about Lil Deuce? How's he doing?
He's
He's
living the life right now.
He is.
He's amazing. And the things I noticed, and you're a defender, but he sees things so well, like the touchdown. He saw, and he's patient, right? The hole opened. He gets in the hole, puts his foot in the ground, and made number 32, I think it was Reed, just looked foolish because he kind of olayed him, right, with one arm trying to tackle him. And he can change directions
That's because his feet are so quick.
On a dime.
When you keep your feet on the ground, then you're able to do that. And that's just how he runs. But he can also run like that at full speed.
Right.
That's what's scary about it as a defender. When you say have those feet on the ground, they can change direction much quicker than you can.
Right.
And his maneuverability, of course, with him being shorter than you, that has an advantage as well.
And he is, by the way.
That's crazy. I looked at my wife and I said, he's 1 inch taller than you. Let's just think about that.
And he's 1 inch shorter than me.
That's crazy.
And yet, he's got a powerful lower body. And you look at his legs, and they're not Robert Newhouse big, but you can see, he can run between the tackles, in certain situations. And he made a living doing that in college at Kansas State.
He's going to have to. Someone's going to have to. For
And
this
you
Cowboys
can
team. just
see that he's going to make an impact on offense. His rookie season. Brian Schottenheimer was in San Diego when Darren Sproles came into the league, and he was talking during training camp that, we had a plan for Darren when he came out, and I saw that, and we can use some of that stuff. Well, I went and looked up what Darren Sproles did his rookie year in 2005 with the Chargers. Well, he didn't do hardly anything on offense. It was later in his career. I think he had 3 carries and maybe 2 catches his rookie year in San Diego. Of course, they had LT carrying the bulk of the load there, and then he was hurt his second year. Sproles was, but he got incorporated more and more in the offense as they went along. I think Deuce is going to be more involved offensively. They'll have packages for him right off the bat his rookie season. And the league has evolved a little bit in that way in the last 18 years since Sproles came into the league.
And it wasn't like in college at K-State he was a gimmick. He was the running back.
He was.
He scored 43 touchdowns.
He had better stats than Bijan Robinson in this draft. He if you look at Power 5 running backs coming into this draft and statistically what they did in college, and he was there for 3 years just like Robinson was, and they were neck and neck as far as their production in college.
So, I think we're past the gimmick.
Okay.
Past his dad's the scout. He's shown, I think he's a football player.
And other teams are going to be sitting there going, how did he slide to the 6th round?
Right.
What did they know about him that we didn't know? Well, they had his dad. But and along those lines, it's his makeup that puts him ahead of the game. I mean, he's so smart. You can tell he's been around football his whole life, professional football in the family, and he comes in here and he's just like one of the veteran guys walking in the room.
And he's not using his size or anything to make excuses. When they interviewed him after the game, the first thing he said, about the touchdown, he goes, my offensive line. And that's what he does. My offensive line, the offense helped me do this, but it's not me. So
Well, when you're that size, then it's pretty obvious that you need some assistance.
yeah.
There's some humility that comes with that.
Exactly.
Right?
And when you look at, I always think of Joe Washington when I see a player like Deuce, because Joe was able to, especially when he got with the Redskins, he was able to hide behind some of the biggest offensive linemen you've ever seen. That was his goal. That was his skill. It wasn't that he stumbled into that. That's what guys his size, they use that to their advantage. They go from blocker to blocker, and they conceal themselves until it's time for them to make the burst.
And he had a lot of speed, by the way.
That's right.
Watching him in college.
And but Deuce has a maturity about him that allows him to, right off the bat in this league, make an impact. By the way, Joe Washington, how tall was he listed? I mean, what was his height?
5'8", maybe.
They list him at 5'9". So he's 4 inches taller than Deuce. And he was and by the way, Joe Washington was the 4th pick in the draft in 1976 of the San Diego Chargers in 1976 before he went to Baltimore and then
He
Washington.
must have gone directly to Baltimore.
It was 2 years in San Diego and then Baltimore.
I didn't know he had 2 years in
80.
San Diego.
Yep.
After he scored that senior year phantom touchdown against Missouri to win the game. Never did get in the end zone, by the way.
That's because he's so fast.
He was so fast, they couldn't tell he was out of bounds before that.
That's right.
Bill was ready for that.
I know. That's why I threw it at him, just to see if he remembered.
Okay, we had a tease coming into this segment from
did.
Everson. And Everson is concerned about the kicking
Very concerned.
Kids good.
You were concerned about the kicking situation before we went to Oxnard.
That is so true.
And that was before Brandon Aubrey was even signed to the team. And you're still concerned?
Have you been watching
the
him?
software engineer?
I watched.
He's good. He's talented.
He is.
And you know what? They like him.
So what took so long for us to find him?
Because he was playing in the USFL.
USFL, and they went to the championship game. So it took. They already found him. They were just sitting on him. When they kept talking about
all those other guys that we had kicking out there, embarrassing themselves.
There was only one guy out there. Tristan Vizcaino.
But
that was it.
That was it? What about the guy? No, it was another guy in practice who missed like four kicks.
No.
Come on. That was a guy in training camp that missed like four kicks.
That was Vizcaino.
Oh, man. Ooh, that's bad.
That's why he got cut.
Yeah.
And then when
he hit too many into the broadcast booth that was located 10 yards to the left of the goalpost during the practice that we televised.
You guys had to have protection.
Well, you remember last year, Campo got hit by a guy.
I came close to getting hit.
Once they cut Vizcaino, this kid never missed more than 1 or 2 kicks during a series in any of the practices and including the games. He would miss one. I think I saw it ended up 43 of 49 on all kicks.
Where's that kicker from last year?
He's
Brett Maher's in Denver.
And he's going to be the kicker because I think the other guy got hurt. Fry.
They let him go.
They released him injured. Yeah. And I just saw
he's doing well. Is he doing well?
I haven't paid attention, but he is.
I saw him make one on. I was watching the game, and he made an extra point or whatever.
That's progress.
This kid,
shut up, Bill.
This kid has talent.
This guy did work for us, man. You know he's my favorite.
This kid has talent, and he's got the right composure. Now it's a matter of he just has to keep being consistent.
He's booming balls through the end zone on kickoffs too.
Before the game. Against Seattle in warm-ups, and it was snap, hold, kick. He hit from 51 and 55. So he's got the leg. He's had touchbacks on almost every kickoff. I think did he kick that one short on purpose? There was one return in the game, wasn't there? I remember late in the fourth quarter.
I'm going to say he did it on purpose. We need to take a look at these guys.
So my thing is, he just finished with the USFL?
Yes, 2 years.
2 years with the Birmingham Stallions. He was a soccer player at Plano High School.
At Notre Dame.
Last time that he played football before his time in the USFL with the Birmingham Stallions the last 2 years. The last time he had played football was as an 8th grader at Schimmelpfennig Middle
I know
School
where that
in
is.
Plano.
That's crazy.
And I think he was like a wide receiver.
Yes, he was a wide receiver, and they don't usually kick.
So he is talented.
Yes, and he's a first-round pick. First-round pick in the MLS draft.
Okay.
The Toronto FC.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Impressive.
So another first-rounder on this Cowboys roster.
So now his last game for the USFL, when was that?
Birmingham, it was in their championship
Which
game.
was, end of June, 1st of July, whenever
Yeah.
that was.
And then they had to wait a period to be able to sign somebody from the USFL.
Do kickers get leg fatigue?
He hit 14 of 15 field goals during the USFL season.
Okay.
So it wasn't like he overkicked.
There you go.
And on kickoffs, if you think about it in USFL, they wouldn't let him kick. You got penalized if you kicked off past the 20-yard line.
Okay.
So he didn't have to do that
There you go.
either. So
So
I'm
he's
just looking at
perfected
things.
the high onside,
That's
the
right.
deep onside kick that's going to be a part of this NFL game now.
that's right.
With the fair catch rule.
So, and he's got the right nature, right? And he's been schooled in his last year at Birmingham by Chris Boniel, who was the special teams coach there. And so he was able to.
See, we should have pieced this all together even back in
Before,
June. Yeah, I'm
right?
sitting there watching. I watched the USFL championship game because I'm so proud of the product that Daryl Johnston has put together, and as a tribute.
I watched the game too.
I'm saying that somewhat facetiously, but there is a glimmer of truth in this, and I'm thinking of DJ as I'm watching that game. Like, man, he's really done a great job with this league. But I was also saying, Cowboys need to be looking for kickers in this game, and sure enough, they were.
As a matter of fact, Fossil was on to him during the middle of the season.
That's what I was going to ask. I know he didn't just come on their radar.
He actually
Yeah.
went and watched a game.
Well, he had worked out here with once he figured out his wife convinced him to give football a shot. As they're sitting on their couch in Colleyville, he was a software engineer, and his wife, they were watching an NFL Sunday, and she said to him, "You can kick better than these guys," and that's what planted the seed for him to go pursue this career as an NFL kicker a couple of years ago. I think Dak actually watched him kick out here in Frisco, and
he started working with John Carney. John Carney's on the West Coast and does kicking camps.
Yes.
And because John Carney, how about this? John Carney was at Notre Dame when Skip Holtz was a freshman. He was the head coach at Birmingham. So he recommended him to Skip in the USFL because they only get 45 guys, and they didn't have the opportunity, as Aubrey was explaining to me, to have like a kicking contest. It was like you only had one spot for a kicker because we need other players. And so that's how he got the job. It wasn't like a tryout. And so when he was in the competition with Vizcaino, that was the first time he was in any kind of kicking competition.
Oh,
so do you feel better about the kicking situation now?
well, yeah, I guess if I
Until
put my trust in
he
you guys.
misses a field
Until
goal.
Saturday night.
Remember how we love your guy my guy last year, and then all of a sudden he goes crazy.
Well, but for the regular season, Maurer made 90%, right? So when the Cowboys signed him, I saw it and I'm going, okay, you got just another guy, right? I get a text message from Chris Boniel. You just signed my guy, just like that. I didn't realize that he was there. And so when I talked to Chris about it, I said, now the hard thing for the Cowboys, they're spoiled. The kicker made 90% of his field goals, before the thing in the playoffs, right?
Yes.
And from distance.
Yes.
And I said, where do you find that? And Boniel goes, my guy made 92%.
Okay, all righty.
Just to review, Maher during the regular season last year was 29 out of 32, 91%. Extra points, he was 50 for 53. We just were in Seattle, and they had the Pro Bowl kicker, Jason Myers, and he was 34 out of 37 last year. He just missed 3 also last year. So Maher was that close. The problem was once it got to the clutch situation, all of a sudden it was those yips that happened on the extra points.
Think about it. If the Cowboys don't qualify for the playoffs, this guy's signing a 3-year deal for $9 million. I guarantee you, if it just go off the regular season.
Yep. All right, we continue with more Mick Shots in just a moment.
Well, thank you for that information.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com is one of the most trusted ways to buy, sell, and trade crypto. Whether you're always on the go or stay closer to home, Blockchain.com is just a few taps away. Put the power of crypto in your pocket, so no matter where you are, you can trade on your terms and build a crypto portfolio to fit your life. For crypto pros, rookies, and anyone in between, Blockchain.com makes it easy to own a piece of the future. Blockchain.com, trusted by millions, trusted by America's team.
Hey, Cowboys fans, ready to spice up your next watch party? Bring Yo Quiero guacamole and be the game day hero. Yo Quiero means I want, and we know you want great, fresh-tasting, ready-to-serve guacamole for your home gating and tailgating events. Made with real avocados and the perfect blend of spices, it will be the star of any party. You can find us at your local Albertsons or Tom Thumb in the deli section. If you can't find it, talk to your store manager and tell them, Yo Quiero guacamole.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pregame sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
Miller Lite is the sponsoring company for Mick Shots throughout this season.
Yes.
They love you, Mickey, at Miller Lite.
We need to have some Miller Lights in the morning
official,
at 9 o'clock.
The official beer of the Dallas Cowboys.
That was a horrible transition. I'm not a professional, but that didn't sound too good.
Concerns coming out of Saturday night in Seattle.
I think one of the most qualified concerns, right? Because my concern is backups on the offensive line. They've got to find 3 guys that can back up at center, guard, and offensive tackle. Now, we'll see where Willetsko is with his shoulder. But they like Awesome Richards as a tackle. They've played him at both spots, Bill, in the game. He ended up, I think, in the fourth quarter playing guard. You know, he's a 5th-round pick. When you looked at who they had on the offensive line, he had played the most football of any of them last year at North Carolina, because the rest of the guys were either on the Cowboys practice squad or they were on injured reserve, or like Josh Ball, he played 41 snaps. Well, he's already played more snaps in 2 preseason games than he did all last year. So they got to figure out what they're going to do at the backup center, and I think Forniak has played the best there. Now they got to figure out who's the backup guard. They tried this Brock Hoffman. He had started at center. He didn't do very well there. They moved him to guard. I thought he struggled at guard in the game. So Chuma Edoga
has been hurt
almost all preseason, and I thought he was struggling before he got hurt in practices.
You know who was lining up against him? He's playing left tackle. Like number 11.
I have been
you
seeing,
will struggle. You will struggle against number 11.
All I've seen is number 11 just breaking stuff up. That's all I've seen all season long.
He has ruined more practices because they can't block him, and you got to sit there and try to qualify. Is it because of the guy's lack of talent or Parsons, because he's doing that to everybody else in the league? So we'll see when he gets back, but I just think he's a guard. I don't think he's a tackle.
So you can't go on what Michael Parsons is doing to him.
No, I know.
Because he does to everybody.
Yeah, but at guard, I don't know that he was all that. I mean, he was never a full-time starter in the league. I think he started 1 year. So that's my concern, the depth on the offensive line. Now, here's the deal. If something happens to a tackle, Tyler Smith long-term is your backup tackle, right? You move him out, but you got to find a guy worthy of starting at guard.
That's right.
And I think that's what they need to work on here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, we have 2 minutes left here. I want to get your take very quickly on Will Grier coming out of that game.
He was one pass away, I think, from convincing this team that he needs to be on the 53-man roster. I thought that's what he was playing for.
And that pass was the
interception at the goal line. Yeah, he was late on it, I thought. I didn't get a chance to go back and look at the route to see if the wide receiver sold him out or not. But he should have never thrown it, I don't think. But I thought the way he performed with what he had to work with was pretty darn good. I think
I think as fans, sometimes we see the interception. I know I did this. I saw the interception, and I forgot about the drive to start the second half where it was boom, 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 all the way down the field, and then hand off to Deuce, and he scores a touchdown.
And remember, this guy, he was hurt last year in training camp, and the last time he would have played in a game other than the previous week was last year in preseason.
Here's another thing that if you make your decision on Grier, whether if you're going to try to expose him and get him to the practice squad, you now have two teams out there that have previous experience with him. One of those is the Chargers, where Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier are now. And they look at their backup situation. Easton Stick is their backup to Justin Herbert. And then remember that Will Grier was the third-round pick of the Carolina Panthers when Ron Rivera was the head coach. And so Washington, which is in need of quarterbacks, they could pick him off.
See, and
Will Grier must have a rabbit in his foot because we are really pulling for him. We have been pulling for this guy for about 3 years now. So...
And the other thing is well, here's the other thing. It's you're pulling for a third quarterback.
Okay.
Because of the new rules.
I understand
where
that.
you can suit up a third quarterback on game day. Exactly.
This is what I'm saying.
No,
We've been talking about this for 3 years.
Right. But he doesn't. The good thing is now, if you're trying to get him on the practice squad, he doesn't have to go through waivers. This is his 5th year. So you could tell them, hey, even if we put you on the practice squad, we'll pay you this.
So a team can't claim him, but they can sign him.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's up to him.
It's a lot of work for a guy that's barely making the practice field.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's a lot of work.
And and you look at his age too. And I thought I had it written down. He turned 28. He turned 28 on April 3rd.
That's a lot, guys.
Yeah,
and so
for a developmental quarterback.
And you got teams all across the league that are going to be trying to get quarterbacks to their practice squad. And if there's one you like out there, you can even keep him on the 53 and then see what's out there and then make your decision.
I'm going to stay optimistic. But we are really doing a lot of work for this guy.
Yeah. But the good thing is you're kind of solidified on Cooper Rush.
I'm gonna make sure and tag you with the good thing is, because you said that about 5 times today.
The good thing is?
The good thing is. So, Mr. Optimism, I'm with you.
You know what? You know what the good thing is?
What the good thing is?
We're going to be back here. Well, we might be back here on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. And that will be a good thing, right?
Yeah, the good thing is?
And that'll be after Cowboys night on Tuesday night. And so we will have the ruminations of Mickey Spagnola after watching this team in practice at the Star in Frisco on Tuesday night. And also Everson Walls will be along for the ride as well. And is the break coming up next? Something's coming up next.
Do we take a bottle of champagne and bust it on the table here? We christen this new room?
No.
This is nice, man.
A bottle of Miller
Chris
Lite.
said no.
Bottle
Chris
of
said we
Miller
can't do
Lite.
it.
Okay.
All right, and we'll chat at you
got your bottle of water
again
there.
Wednesday morning here on Mick Shots.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!